Hello traders, welcome to a new week of trading. This is the third week of August, and we'll be going ahead with our analysis for the week to keep us ahead. I hope you have uh, a productive, a profitable trading week. So just to do a recap of our last session, I brought up the story of how I arrived for a bullish trend on the GBP USD. We have a break of the structure. This is uh a swing high. Then we saw price, pulling back after having a bearish, move to this point. We had saw another bullish move to the upside, and then we can see price still selling to this order block, and we have this currently. And so well, X is always a probability um thing, and that is why you have to look out for both ways. I was bullish on this GBP USD as at last week, but let's consider other factor and see if we could see another perspective to the markets. So everything is still almost the same from what I had last week. Just a few observation. Now we have this high, and the next high is this, and we have this. So if price is not able to break this high, then there's a tendency that we can be looking out for a bearish market, but there still needs to be a confirmation to that. So um I'm considering two things at this point. This structure that was broken and this, right? So let's move to the 4 hours time frame. On the 4 hours time frame, this was where I took my trade for the week. Let me use this. For the week, I took my trade here. I took my trade here, and unfortunately, the trade ran into profits for some time. Then, I did not close. I was expecting market to pull back to this point before going off the markets. But sorry, how did I arrive here? Now, this is how I arrived here. Now, this is how I arrived in taking a sell here. You could see we have this strong bearish candle. And like I said, most of majority of the sellers might want to take just an assumption, might want to take a sell here because this is also considered as a change of character, right? So I waited for markets, I waited for this to happen. Then I set a pending order here for a sell. So before I even set my pending order, are they taking a trade already? Then after seeing this, I think that should be after this happened. Then I now set a pen order when market was around here, hoping that market is still going to pull back to this point, which as predicted it's happened, market pull back to this point, and we saw this sell before market came and took me out. I never set break even. In most of my trade, I don't even set break even. And that was how, I had two losses on this particular trade. But this is something that I've always observed or I've seen in the markets that whenever there's an engulfing candle, prices always want to retest that point and sell. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. So taking this trade and having a loss there, well, I I've always learned to understand how the market is. Is basically you expect things that you don't expect. That's just the best way. So I took this, and markets got to this point, and here we are. So currently looking at the trade, we can see that there's a possibility of one. Let's take a look. There's a possibility of um let me remove this. There's a possibility of the market still, either buying, because when we look at the 2 hours time frame, we're actually seeing a bullish market at this point. Right? We are actually seeing a bullish market at this point. So I was just taking this just in anticipation of a potential change of character, right? So there wasn't a confirmation except for the candlestick I used in taking this trade. What I mean is that there is not actually a change of trend in the market before I took this trade, just this candlestick formation. That was why I took the trade. Now, when we want to consider the trend, we can see that the market is still bullish. The market is still bullish, and going to the 1 hour time frame, you could see this was where market took out this high, and we are seeing a pullback. So structurally, the market is still on a bullish trend on the 1 hour, on the 2 hours, on the 4 hours. It's still clearly a bullish trend. We haven't gotten any change of character yet. However, it's just in a zone whereby, the sellers will step in. So for the week, I'll be expecting either waiting for price to break through this low, and a pullback. It also depends on what the candle formation is on the 4 hours as well, to determine whatever I'm going to do in the market. So looking at the structure of the market, we can see that market is still bullish from the 1 hour time frame. The 2 hours time frame, we still have a bullish market, and although we can see prices on a resistance zone, Now, when you go to the daily time frame, you can see, if you trade structural liquidity, you can see that there is a possibility that price just came to retest this zone to sell, but to have a more solid confirmation or a confluence, would either it's best to wait for price to give a change of character. At least in that point, there is still a high possibility that, oh, the market wants to sell. But looking at it from the 1 hour, we can see that this point to this point is a whole lot. So if you're waiting for market to, you know, break out, then pull back, it might not happen as expected. But all the same, we are still looking out for um the the change of character on the 1 hour time frame. Now let's move to the DXY. On the DXY, we can see that price is currently on a support level. And for price to be bouncing off this level, it shows that there is a strong activity actually within this zone. There's strong activity within this zone. We have to wait until we see either a break of this um structure. This structure, we have to see a break of this zone. Sorry, not structure, of this zone. See a break, or we see a strong pullback. But whichever one, we just have to follow what the structure, or the structural bias of the market is saying. So we can see that this was the last load I was taking. Price has been bouncing off this 1, 2, 3. This is the third time. I also see price bouncing off this point too as well. So this is a very good area of confluence too. watch out for. Can see price, you know, giving us a resistance level here as well. So price has been ranging for now, and whichever part price decide to break would focus on that part more because there will be a high possibility that that is where market is heading to. So looking at the 1 hour time frame, you can see that we already have price has already formed a resistance here, and we can see that there is a ranging markets at this point. What do we expect? Either we expect price to break out, either we expect price to break out and then we test the zone and keep on declining, or we see price breaking up from this zone, retests, and so that is my prediction for this coming week. Is just to hold on to see what's the point at which price is going to break out from. And as well, it doesn't still mean that if price break out from here, we are we are looking at a bullish market or a bullish trend, because there's still a possibility that price would just have to take out all this liquidity and tap into this zone, and we have the bearish move. So it's just to stay to be alert and also apply proper risk management, because this is looking like a battlefield between the buyers and the sellers. Just let me know what you are anticipating, your analysis. I'm open to seeing your opinion of the markets and your direction. Do have an amazing trading week. I wish you a profitable one. Bye. See you next week.